doing a budget and keeping to it, and you fail. Budgeting to your brain is like keeping a diet, trying to keep a diet. You suffer, you fail, then you blame yourself. Oh, I've gone back to not exercising again. I've gone back to eating all those things I said I was going to cut out. Then you blame yourself. But what if I tell you that it's not your fault, and that because your brain is wired to rebel? And I'm going to show you how to outsmart it. Because if we don't outsmart our brain and then we let it indulge in gratification, instant gratification, which is what the brain really likes, then we are never ever going to be financially free. So today we are talking about how your brain hates budgeting and the 1% fix, the 1% rule that will fix it for you. So if you have ever been challenged with budgeting, with creating a budget and sticking to it, type me too in the comment section. And as you join us, please let me know what country, what city you are joining us from. Okay, so what's the problem? You see, budgeting is like asking your brain to do squats when all your brain wants to do is to sit down with popcorn and watch Netflix. So your brain's priority is immediate reward. You need to understand this. Because 80% of our financial problems is psychology. The other 20% is just tactics. But often we pour 80% of our time in tactics and not in the psychology behind why we are struggling with the money. And so this is one of the most powerful psychology principles that you are going to learn to take control of your brain. So you can type it in the comment section as usual, because I would like you to engage with me and I would like you to interact with me. So whenever I ask a question, please do respond so that I can engage. And while we are talking about this, if you have any question related to the topic, go ahead and type it in the comment section, because I'm going to read all of them. And then make sure you stick to the end, because there's some very, very powerful information coming. And please, if you haven't loved it or you haven't subscribed to my channel, take a moment and do that, because I discovered that most people who watch my channel have not subscribed. So you please do that, because it really helps the algorithm to show this very useful content to people who need it. Okay, so your brain's priority is immediate reward, instant gratification. That's your brain's priority. So type immediate reward, okay? Type immediate reward. Lawson is joining from Port Harcourt, and Lawson is into manufacturing of fiberglass products. Fantastic. So yeah, tell us where you are joining from, and then do let us know. If you have a business, do let us know what you're doing. I encourage clients, I encourage people to come to get to know themselves during these live sessions, okay? All right, Stella, thank you for typing that. Immediate reward. That's how our brains are wired, for immediate reward. Our brains are not wired for long-term planning. This is where the tension and the tragedy happen. This is where the tension and the tragedy happen. Your brain is wired for immediate gratification, not long-term planning. Yet, what you need for financial freedom is not immediate gratification, is long-term planning. No one who is addicted to immediate gratification, anything you see you buy, anything you see you eat. The latest iPhone comes out, you must buy. Another gadget comes out, you must buy it. So if you can't deal with that, you are going to find it extremely difficult to be financially free, because there's always that tension. In fact, let me put it this way. Your financial freedom results from how well you balance the tension between immediate gratification and long-term planning. Wow! That's an aha moment. Type it in the chat. Type it in the comment section. Immediate gratification versus long-term planning. That is where all financial, how you manage that tension, how you manage and you balance that brain wiring for immediate gratification with long-term planning. That is going to be the coefficient of your financial freedom. That's what's going to determine how soon you become financially free. Stella is joining from Port Harcourt. Stella is a housewife, and then she runs a small business. Okay, shout out to Stella. Okay, good. Tell us as you join where you are joining from. Tell us what country you are joining from, what city, and tell me also what you do. And if you do have a question on the topic, do put it in the comment section, and I will do my best to answer that. The topic we are dealing with today in today's coaching session is your brain hates budgeting. This 1% rule will fix it. You don't even need willpower. My finances changed the day I discovered what I'm about to teach you. Okay, so it's because of that tension between immediate gratification and long-term planning that we spend money on things that bring us instant pleasure. That is why, because the brain doesn't get excited about saving for tomorrow's goals. If you can get this, even if you can get this alone, that's enough for tonight. Did you hear what I just said? Your brain does not get excited about saving for tomorrow's goals. That's where the dilemma is. You have a brain that is the control center for your earthly life, but that brain does not get excited about saving for tomorrow. Your brain wants it right now, right now. And that is the problem. Okay, so that's why we spend money on things that bring us instant pleasure, and we don't get excited on saving for tomorrow. Okay, all right, okay, so we're gonna have you on timeout. Clash Champ, I'm not sure why you continue to put that in the comment section. Please, let's keep it very civil because we have other people here. All right, so what is the 1% rule? What is that 1% rule? That if you can do it, you do not need willpower to keep your budget, to save and to invest. What is that 1% rule? Okay, so it's because of that tension between immediate gratification and long-term planning that the 1% rule comes in. And it's very simple. The 1% rule basically says if you just improve 1% every day, whether it is saving or reducing unnecessary expenses, just 1%. A year from today, 2 years from today, you are going to look back and you see a completely different financial picture from what you have today. So you see, the 1% rule is a way you trick your brain. It's a way you trick your brain. Because what happens is, when your brain sees that little 1% improvement every day, it's not large enough to trigger that response to immediately try to protect you and give you immediate reward. So if you just improve 1% every day, and I'm going to give you my personal example. So it's not about willpower, but it's about micro, almost effortless daily changes that add up over time. All right, so and I would like you to put some examples of little changes you can make in your finances every day. Everyone, please do this exercise. All of you listening to this, do this exercise. And why this is important is that, number one, this is a coaching session. So I want that engagement with you. And then number two, while we put our comments in the comment section, we all learn from each other. Somebody can learn how you are improving 1% every day. And then, bingo, it becomes a great relief to that person. So tell me, how can you improve in your finances? Just give practical example What can you improve? Just 1%, one tiny micro effort you can do daily. I'm going to give you my examples, but I'm going to wait to read out some of your comments. How you can improve your finances. Just 1%, tiny little bit every single day. So the 1% rule was not actually invented by James Clear. It's actually been there like a universal principle. You remember Archimedes? Archimedes, or is it Archimedes or Archimedes, okay? Depending on where you come from. He says, give me a lever long enough and I will move the world. That was very powerful. Okay, so that lever, you see what leverage is? That lever. So you see, when you did your introductory physics and you learned about Archimedes or Archimedes, you normally saw a graphic that has there's a fulcrum at one end of that maybe it's a plank or a rod or something. So there's a fulcrum, and then there's a very heavy weight at the end of that rod or that plank. And so when you just put a little effort at the end, very tiny effort, you just press a finger, you can lift that mighty weight at the other part. That is the metaphor for the 1% rule. So if budgeting doesn't work for you, you found it difficult to keep budgets, to create a budget and to stick to it, then you need to consider the 1% rule. Okay, so let me look at so Business Fame International says skipping hangouts once a week. Fantastic. That's 1%. Because I like your example, because you don't have to skip the whole thing. You don't have to stop it. All of it. You just skip 1%. 1%. Just keep one. All right. Charlie Spice said, instead of buying beer every evening, I buy dividend paying shares. Fantastic. That's 1% rule. So you are getting it. I need all of you to continue, put in the chat session. What are your 1%? What are the 1% ways, small efforts you can make to improve your money life, your financial life every single day? Because your brain wants to spend the money immediately. But if you spend that money immediately and buy, all that impulsive buying. By the way, some of you know, like if you're like me, sometimes you do the impulsive buying. You buy up something. Then by the time you get to the house, you wonder why in the world. You start having regret and guilt for ever buying that. So Stella says, by reducing the expenses in a day. That's good. I need you to give me specific examples, Stella, of how you can reduce expenses in a day. All right. So give me a lever long enough and I'll move the world. Why does the 1% rule work? Why do you think that this 1% rule works? Have you ever noticed how, if you've been around rich people like I am, you keep hearing them talk about cash flow. They don't talk about budget. Has anybody noticed that? I've been around wealthy people. They do budget actually, but I don't know how they do it. I think they talk more about cash flow than they talk about budget. But they do have a sense of budget, because I think that what has happened is that having exercised financial discipline over the years, wealthy people sort of do it automatically. You know, they know how much they spend on charity every month. They can tell you, I know wives of very wealthy people who will tell you how much they spend on gas every year, every month. It's incredible. And in fact, my wife is she's a wife of a wealthy person. She knows if you ask her how much do you spend on gas, every year she has that number in her head. So, but the 1% rule works because it aligns with how your brain thinks. And that is a secret to not using willpower. So if you just align it with the way your brain thinks, then you don't need to exert willpower. How does your brain think? In that small step that doesn't freak your brain out. Because when you suddenly start saying, I'm still going to talk about your savings, because savings is important. So, and remember, I told you in the previous video you haven't watched, you need to watch, that your savings rate means nothing if your savings are not weaponized. All right. So it's the same way when you tell your brain, okay, this month you are going to save 50%, half of the salary, your brain freaks out and then it becomes protective. But if you do small every day, the brain will not get to the threshold of triggering your brain to freak out. Okay, so it's like sneaking vegetables into your smoothie or into your child's smoothie. Children don't like vegetables, but if you do smoothies for them and then you put some, bananas in it and orange juice and things like that, and then you squeeze in some vegetables, they wouldn't know. That's the same way you trick your brain. That's why I called it the 1% trick that fixes it, and then you will not need willpower. So I have some more examples here about the 1% way we can improve our finances every day. Lawson says, substitute Coke to Zobo. Okay, so Zobo, for those of you who don't understand that language, is hibiscus. Okay. Business Fame International says, getting my stingy wife to approve every expenditure over 5,000 naira. This automatically gives me a check. I like that. I like that one. I hope your wife is not watching this. I hope your wife is not watching this. I really like this one. He said, if the spending is above a certain limit, I will have to run it by my wife. My stingy wife, he says, to approve it. That's a lovely one. You see how these things, we can actually make it a very, 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 very fun way. Very, very fun way of improving our finances. Just 1% a day. Okay, Stella also says, reducing the amount of money I spend on data, soda, fuel, transportation. Absolutely. Yes, Ayo Justin, that was very funny. As a matter of fact, that's the funniest thing I've heard this day. Getting my stingy wife to approve every expenditure above 5,000. This is hilarious, but it's very powerful. Okay, so that is why the 1% rule works. We're not asking you or asking your brain to give up your favorite things. All right, we're just asking for small tweaks, small shifts in spending, like Stella said, small shifts in saving. You skip some unnecessary subscription here and there. Those little things, eventually they appear little, but in 1 year you will amaze yourself if you start improving your finances just 1% a day. In 1 year, under 1 year, under 2 years, you will shock yourself. You will amaze yourself how much you have saved by just doing 1%. Now, the surprising thing is that you would even have saved far more than if you had actually launched your brain into this forceful willpower thing and then started forcing yourself to do big jumps at a time. So why does willpower fail? Let's face it, willpower is overrated. How many of you, like me, had struggled with a bad habit? And then you would tell yourself, oh my God, I will never do this again. And then less than 5 hours after that, you are doing that bad habit again. If it has happened to you, say, me too, because that's what's happened to me. So I fought some bad habits. At some point, we're going to talk about it, because these bad habits also affect your mentality. And anything that affects your mental health also affects your financial health. Okay, so willpower doesn't always work. There was this writer who said that the things I want to do, I'm unable to do them. But the things that I don't want to do, I find myself doing that. Okay? So, but he says, anyway, thank God for Christ, through whom he didn't just stop there. So there was a way to get out of it, because willpower was not just it. And then you can see willpower. Our ladies in the room, and even our men, sometimes you've told yourself, I will never buy this particular thing again, and boom, you go to the store, you see sales. It used to be $900, and then you see sales $90, and you say, oh, I've saved $810. Who told you? You didn't save $810. You spent $90. So we tell ourselves we never do that again. And then we get out there in the market and then we do it again. So two women in my life were driving through town the other day. So she was telling me this story. One of them was telling me this story. So she was driving with her friend, and there was a popular ice cream and yogurt store along the street. And this other woman tells her friend, oh, please, let's stop by this ice cream place so that I can pick up some yogurt. This other very wise woman, her friend, says, listen, I'm not going to come out of the car with you. I'm not going to come down to that place. So you go, I'll stay in the car park and wait for you. When you finish buying, you come back. That's amazing, because that is behavioral economics. You vowed you will never buy. Because if she had, so what happened? Her friend goes there and comes back with a bowl of ice cream for 12,000 naira, just like that. As soon as she entered the car and sat down, she said, oh my goodness, look at, this is 12,000 I just spent. And then her friend says, well, that's why I said I was not going to leave the car with you. 1% fix, 1% rule. Just that little improvement, what that woman did by staying in the car, she avoided spending money that she could not have said. Okay? So, how do you apply the 1% rule? I like the examples that you've already given here. Okay. Free Life says, I save 10% of my salary. That's very good, very commendable. Micah says, oh, okay. Oh, somebody says you're subscribed, but you don't get notification. All right. To get the notification for my live events, you need to click on that bell on my channel. By the way, for those of you who have not subscribed, please do that. Do that right now and subscribe, and then hit that notification bell so that I could spend moments like this, no matter the part of the world I'm in, with you. I feel I connect better with you when I'm talking with you this way, and then we are just discussing non-scripted, life and practical ways to make our money, our financial lives better, because nobody is coming to save us. The government is not coming to save you. Nobody is coming to save you. So I want to continue to bring this kind of content that will help you to find that financial freedom. So how do you apply the 1% rule? Okay, when you don't need willpower. So start today. Identify that one thing that you don't really need and save 1% of your income. That is one thing you can do. Watch over your spending habit like a hawk. You know, for those of us who grew up in the village, and then sometimes you see hawks, you know, just flying, hovering over where you have chicks with their sharp eyes. From that height, they're able to see. That's how you need to watch over your expenses. You see, because what makes you wealthy is not your income. Some of you are earning lots of money. There's some of you here earning $60,000. It's not a little money. That's not little. Earning $60,000 a year. But you keep nothing. There are some of you here watching from the US earning $80,000, even $120,000 in the year. But you're still struggling financially. You're always short. You have so many notes you're paying, expensive cars, living in an expensive house, and all that. And so you don't have that financial peace. Because it is not how much you earn, it's how much you are able to keep and multiply. That's what makes you wealthy. And so if you don't practice this 1% rule, no matter how much money you make, it will always leak out completely. Nothing saved, nothing invested for the future. Is someone getting incredible value here? Type value in the comment section. Type value in the comment section. All right. Stella says, me too. I drink soda a lot. I've tried several times to stop, but I couldn't. Good news, you can stop. But like we said, 1% rule. If you used to drink 3 bottles, I knew a lady who drank soda with every meal. She drank soda. Sorry, I don't want to mention the brand, but you know all this your favorite Coca something, okay? She drank it with every meal. So that was like at least 3 to 5 bottles of that every single day. And then I know that woman, not only is it taking a toll on her health, it's also taking a toll on her wallet. Because I've discovered doing this for all these years that many times whatever takes a toll on your health takes a toll on your wallet. Okay? So if you drink 3 bottles a day, you can start gradually. That's what we're saying. Don't trick, because if you tell your brain, I'm going to stop. You might do 1 day, 2 days, the 3rd day, the craving that your brain will give you will come so hard at you that day you're going to drink what you didn't drink in the past 2 days plus that. You're going to drink 9 bottles. But if you start gradually and say, all right, I'm going to skip 1 bottle and take only 2, no problem. Your brain doesn't notice it. It still gets that sugar. Then maybe you do that for a couple of weeks. Then you say, all right, I'm going to drop 1 more. By that time, your brain had already gotten used to not having that 3rd bottle. Now, by the time it gets used to not having that 3rd bottle, it registers only 2 bottles. Then you now tell yourself, okay, brain, you're still going to have Coke, but I'm going to drop 1 bottle. And I'm going to take only 1 bottle a day. And then you try that. Your brain doesn't notice because it's still okay. Like the Nigerian police, they have a slang. They said, at all. Okay, for some of you who don't understand the slang, at all, nahim bad. But those of you who understand, you can actually, I don't know how to interpret that in English. So you can put it in the comment section for non-Nigerian friends, audience, So your brain will say, okay. I think the English equivalent is that half bread is better than nothing. So your brain won't rebel. But if you stop the 2 bottles immediately, your brain will rebel. So you stop that one, and then you run it. You just drink only 1 until your brain gets used to just 1 bottle. Remember, it used to be 3. But the memory is no longer there of 3. It's just 1 now. Then you can stop. I did it for over 20 years right now. I've never had a bottle of soda of any type. I used to love some of them. There's this one they called Crest, bitter lemon. That was mine. That was my thing in those days. I like that bitter, whatever. Over 20 years right now, I've never tasted 1 bottle. You could never tempt me with a bottle of soda. Then the other ones they call malt too. All those other ones they call malt drink, never. Then all these other packed for 20 years, I haven't. And then some of you see me or meet me on the road. Say, oh, you don't look 60. Yes, I am. These are some of the little things. So actually, these are 1% tips, but they help. They help overall. So, and I've never needed it. So I take lots of fruits. Like today, I just had a bowl of mangoes. There are all kinds of fruits, There's African star apple. There are all kinds of things, You take it. Then, if you must drink something, you can drink, like somebody mentioned, that hibiscus is healthy for you. You can make beetroot. I have beetroot right there in my fridge. So I have beetroot. I do not need that soda. So if I can do it, you can do it. But how did I do it? This 1% rule. If you just stop immediately, your brain will come with deprivation. Okay? And then before you know it, the 1% rule will start to snowball into better habits and real results. Okay, before we round off, let me tell you one more thing that I have started doing. In fact, many years ago, I think it was 6 years ago precisely, because I remember one lady who took that challenge. She took that challenge. I ran a challenge on social media, and then I remember this particular lady took that challenge to Ghana, and she spread it there. What was that challenge? And I would like you to try this challenge and come back in our next session and tell me what happened. Okay? This challenge is wild, but it can change your life. What was the challenge? I said, how many of you can stay 24 hours without spending money? Very simple, but very complicated. Not too many people can do it. How many of you can spend 24 hours, one day, and you don't spend money? So a lot of people find this thing impossible, but that simple exercise can change your life. So I tried it myself and I did it. I've done 24 hours. I've done 3 days. I haven't done up to a week yet, but I've done up to 3 days. These days, in fact, I don't even count it, because some days it's become so natural to me. I don't buy anything online. I don't use my card for anything. I don't whatever. So, and if I'm not having to drive, I can walk to places that I need to do something. So just try it. It can change your life. Just tell yourself, today, I'm not going to spend money. You can prepare for it, like, if you buy things that you're going to need, like you fueled your car for the week or something, or you've bought grocery and all that. So, but all this extra, buy peanuts here, buy groundnuts here, buy soda here, buy whatever. If you can spend 24 hours without spending a dime, your life will change. But you see, many people think it is impossible. And that just goes to show you how terribly conditioned our world is today. How we have been so rewired by marketing, by ads, by social media, by all kinds of things, that we literally believe that we cannot spend a day without spending money. So try that, and that will be amazing. Okay, so Free Life is asking me, where do you live? I'm actually an itinerant entrepreneur. So one time I'm in Accra, sometime I'm in Lagos, sometime I'm in Houston. So sometime I'm in the village in my home state, like I am right now. So that's the question you asked. Okay, what else? Any questions before we round off? Okay, Ayo Johnson says, oh, great. I feel at home listening to you. Thank you so much for what you do. It's my pleasure. Okay, it's my pleasure. All right. And Business Film International says, for 10 years now, I have stayed away from Ashwebi. Fantastic. I don't sell it and I don't buy it. Very good. Although many times I appear in blue when everyone is wearing yellow. They think my tailor disappointed me. Oh my goodness. Business Film International, what's your real name? Please put it in the comment. Let me call you by name. You are so fun to be with. Okay. Queen Priska says hi. Priska, where are you watching from? All right. And Divine Bible Ministry says, so simple. Yes, it's possible. It's possible to do that. Fatime Bagarian says, sorry, Fatim, I hope I haven't murdered your name. I'm so sorry. Fatim, where are you watching us from? Okay, Ezekwesili, that's your real name. In conclusion, for today, next time you feel overwhelmed by your finances, I want you to remember that your brain does not like budgeting. Your brain is not wired for budgeting. Your brain is wired for immediate gratification, to give it to you, to do it right now. So it hates big, stressful changes. Just know your brain hates very, very big, stressful changes. That's why, for instance, when we lose a loved one, it's so traumatic. It's so traumatic because every loss is sudden. Even if your loved one, your uncle, your dad, your mom was 95 years, so the brain doesn't like such sudden changes. Somebody just goes straight from living to dead. The brain doesn't like that. All right. So give it something small. Look around your day for the 1% things you can change. That 1% that you can change in your finances. Okay? And then let it work for you. So it's not about drastic change, it's about consistent, effortless improvement. And when you master this, your money will never be the same again. You know how I know? It is worth repeating that financial problems are 80, if not 85% psychology. And this is why in the Financial Fitness Challenge, I subtly focus a lot. I use a lot of psychology to help to solve the psychology problem, because the financial problems that you have is not because you are not skilled. It's not because you cannot make money. It's not because you can't earn whatever you want to earn. But there are all these psychological chatbots, if I call them that, that's sabotaging your efforts. You know, those psychological barriers are like thermostat. So anytime, if you have discovered, it happens to you. I once worked with a business owner. I coached a business. They had been, as at that time, they had been in business for over 40 years. And in over 40 years, they had never crossed a certain revenue. Anytime they get to that revenue, the thing suddenly drops. 40 years, they had that ceiling. So what is going on? Their market is getting better. Their product is fantastic. They make some of the best mattresses, in the country. But as at that time, even though they were getting more customers, even though their products were very good, even though their business was expanding, they never crossed that revenue ceiling. So the problem is never the market. The problem is always the mind. That's why during the Financial Fitness Challenge, we usually do a lot. I usually take you through lots of exercises that will help you to address those psychological barriers that keep you from earning the kind of income and becoming financially stable. Some of you still depend on relations and on friends or friends to pay your bills. So that can drastically change. And to join the Financial Fitness Challenge, because we are currently enrolling for the May Financial Fitness Challenge, send a WhatsApp message. It's 125,000 Nigerian naira and $125 for international payers. But right now we're running an early access that takes 20K off. So if you're registering tonight, you're only paying 105,000 or $105. So what you need to do is send me a WhatsApp message. I'm going to get your WhatsApp directly, WhatsApp message, and I'm going to give you the WhatsApp number. Send payment details. Just send me payment details. That's what you should type in the WhatsApp. Send me payment details, and then I'm going to respond and tell you how to enroll. And then once we confirm your payment, you will be added automatically to the group, because we're already doing lots of exercises dealing with all these things. Because the things making people poor are not the big things people are thinking about. There's little things like this: money habits, your spending habits, your savings, many ways that your brain is sabotaging your financial effort. You are in your 40s, you're in your 50s, and you look behind. There's really nothing to show for it. You are in debt. Some of you are in your 60s, and you're so indebted, and there's nothing you're leaving for your children. At 60, you're still renting. You don't have a place of your own. Yet you have worked for 40 years in your life. It's not right. It's not right. So the WhatsApp number to send to is +234. Somebody can type it in the comment section for others as I'm talking. +234 8088 000111. Okay, +234 8088 000111. Okay, so send that. and then you will receive the details. Okay. All right. So, in conclusion, it's not about drastic change. It's about consistent, effortless improvement. When you master this, your money will never be the same again. So start small, think long term, and then one day you look back and wonder why you ever thought that budgeting was hard. Once you start, 1% improvement every day, before you know it, you've mastered budgeting. And when you master that competence of budgeting, you will amaze yourself. Okay? All right, so if you haven't subscribed to the channel, do that right now and make sure to hit that notification bell so that when we come online again to talk about your money, to talk about how to make money in today's world, how to manage your money, and how to multiply it through investments in the labor market, in the financial markets, and different kinds of markets in entrepreneurship, you will not miss a beat. And whatever happens, keep showing up because you have no idea what's coming your way next. I'll see you same time tomorrow. You have a wonderful week.